with the maintenance of the electrical equipment. I hope the screen is visible to you and I am audible to you also. So if you are persisting any problem, then you can unmute your mic and then you can speak. Okay. So this part we have discussed in the last time. So maintenance of a transformer and maintenance of an induction motor. So let's quickly revise the things what we have discussed in the last class. We know that the transformer is a static device and induction motor and the alternators are the rotating devices, or you can say it is under the category of rotating equipments. So whenever we are going to consider the rotating equipments or rotating parts, so that means there can be a gear mechanism, or you can say there can be a arrangement of stator and rotor. Then one can say that whenever we are having the rotating arrangement, so obviously there is a need of maintenance. We have to maintain the air gap between rotor and stator, and whenever we are going to consider the transformer case, so transformer is a static device and generally the maintenance is there for a case of the transformer, but the you can say the quantity of maintenance is slightly less than your alternator or might be by your induction motor. Yes, so that part we have discussed, and believe me, whenever you are going to do the actual maintenance, so we are going to study the theoretical maintenance now, but whenever you are coming to our lab and whenever you are going to open that transformer and whenever you are going to having the tool kit with you and whenever you are going to do the maintenance of a transformer, believe me, you can uh, experience that there are the lot of parts for the transformer and we have to check the continuity of each part. So that can be your transformer wire, or you can say winding. Yes, we have to check the insulation also, we have to check the core part, we have to check the, you can say, the enclosure outer part also. Yes, so there are number of things available in the electrical equipment and that you have to check. Maintenance is nothing but first we have to check, and if is there any requirement of repair work, then you have to do the repair work. Yes, after that we have seen the induction motor maintenance also, and we found that whenever we are going to consider the induction motor, obviously there are two types of induction motors are available. First is the squirrel cage induction motor and second is the slip ring induction motor. So obviously in the slip ring induction motor there is a availability of slip, so the slip ring induction motor requires a you can say a high amount of maintenance than squirrel cage induction motor. Yes, so that is a squirrel cage, CAGE. Yes, so sorry for the spelling mistake. Okay, now that part we have seen for the last class. Yes, so I hope you remember that part, and today we are interested for the maintenance of alternator. Just quickly revise the things. What is an alternator? Alternator is a device which produces a AC quantity. So that we are interested for the alternator. Yes, it is also called as synchronous generator. So might be you have studied this word, or might be you have studied this. You can say the equipment in your electrical machines. Synchronous generator is nothing but the alternator, and we know that we are using the synchronous generator or alternator at generating stations. Why we are using these synchronous generator and alternators in generating stations? Because we have to produce a AC power, or we have to produce a AC, or you can say alternating current. So that is a need of having a synchronous generator, or you can say alternators inside the generating stations. And obviously, if there is electrical equipment, we have to carry the maintenance because we are interested to increase the performance of the particular electrical machine. So that is our intention behind this maintenance activity. Yes. So today we will discuss this alternator maintenance in detail, and after that we will discuss some important ratios related to the maintenance. So that is a insulation stressing factors, insulation deterioration concept is available, polarization index is also available, and there is a concept of dielectric absorption ratio. We will try to finish this alternator and these ratios today, so that we are going to set our target for today's lecture. And in the next class, we will start with the unit number 3B. So this is unit number 3B. And here there is a concept of thermography. We will study this concept of thermography in detail. In the last class, we have just seen the overview of thermography. Just write in the chat box what you have understood by the word thermography. Thermography is nothing but it is a technique to identify the hotspots. Yes, तुम्हाला कळत असेल की तुमच्या मोबाईल सुद्धा एक हॉटस्पॉट क्रिएट करू शकतो इन द सेन्स ऑफ वायफाय और इन द सेन्स ऑफ इंटरनेट कनेक्शन. Yes, same way, if the electrical equipment possesses the hotspots inside it, then we can detect these hotspots with the help of cameras. And what is the name of that cameras? Thermography cameras. And you have to keep in mind, whenever we are using a maintenance activity or whenever we are going to carry the maintenance activity, we have to carry the thermography camera with us. Believe me, the companies, or you can say the state government companies, or you can say the central government companies. Yes, so the person who is with us for our skill development program is from PGCIL. Yes, and that person has shared his experience also related to this thermography cameras. Yes, so they are carrying the maintenance, and every person, or you can say every engineer, has skilled workers with them, and they are going to carry the maintenance work. आणि तुम्हाला कळत असेल की जी ट्रान्समिशन लाईन आहे ती फक्त शहरातून जात नाही, तर ती फॉरेस्ट मधून जाते. तुम्हाला कळत असेल की ती हिल्स किंवा नद्यांमधून जाते. येस, सो दे हॅव टू कॅरी द मेंटेनन्स वर्क थ्रू आउट द राईट ऑफ वे. आता तुम्हाला शब्द नवीन असेल, राईट ऑफ वे. येस, राईट ऑफ वे मीन्स व्हॉट? द एरिया below the transmission line. The area, let me write in the chat box so that you can understood. The area below the transmission line. You can say this is the path of transmission line. So that is called as a right of way. आणि हा राईट ऑफ वे हा जंगलातून जातो किंवा हिली एरियाज असतील किंवा नद्या असतील, रिव्हर्स. येस, so this right of way is an important part, and we have to carry, or we have to make sure that the maintenance work should be carried out throughout the right of way. Yes, now we will go ahead and we will start discussing the maintenance of the alternator. Yes, so let me share my screen, the PPT for the unit number 3. Yes, so this is the alternator maintenance. I hope the screen is visible to you and I am audible to you. Yes, so we are interested for the alternator today. So let me use my pen. Yes, so the alternator is an electromechanical device. So before starting with the topic, I have the habit to introduce the topic before, or you can say the small concept related to that alternator. So one can say that it is electromechanical. Yes, now comprising a stator. Obviously we are using a stator, we are using a rotor, winding, and external exciter for supplying the excitation voltage. The alternator generates electricity when coupled with prime mover, and we know that prime mover plays an important role for, you can say, the working of alternator. If the prime mover fails, then there can be a damage, or you can say there is a zero power is going to develop when the prime mover fails. Yes, hence we have to carry the maintenance of the prime mover also, though it is a mechanical part, but being an electrical engineer, we must know the working and the maintenance of this prime mover. Yes, the following points are to be considered while carrying out the maintenance on alternators. So obviously we have to check some parameters, and that we have discussed. We have to check the voltage, we have to check the current, we have to check the frequency, and sometimes we have to check the insulation resistance also. Now here onwards, I am using the symbol of insulation resistance as Ri. R suffix I stands for insulation resistance. And obviously, insulation resistance is associated with insulator, and insulator is a material which is having a high amount of resistance. Yes, so that is called as the insulator. Now, before starting any maintenance work on alternator, all safety precautions should be taken. So that precautions also we have studied for the last time for the case of your ceiling fan, and the alternator should be shut and locked down. Also, post notice and alternator heater to be isolated. Yes, so make sure that your alternator is in off condition. Now you are going to think that now, sir, whenever we are going to carry the maintenance, our alternator is in the condition of shut and lockdown. Then what about the generation of electricity? There is a parallel system is available for the case of alternator, and all the generators, or you can say all the alternators, are operated in, you can say, parallel operation. तुम्हाला कदाचित एक्सपेरिमेंट आहे वाटतं इलेक्ट्रिकल मशीन्स मध्ये. We are interested to run the synchronous generator or alternator parallelly. Yes, so we can decouple the alternator which is under the maintenance, and that another alternator will take the responsibility of producing the voltage. Yes, so that is the case, or that is a precaution you have to take, because see, in the running condition there is a less chances of there are less chances to carry out the maintenance. Believe me, तुम्हाला जर कोणी सांगत असेल किंवा तर तुम्हाला कोणी दाखवत असेल की रनिंग कंडिशन्स मध्ये सुद्धा मेंटेनन्स करता येतात असं असेल, पण तरी जरी असलं तरी आपण we have to take the precautions. We make sure that our supply is get disconnected. Yes, and then we have to carry the alternator maintenance. Now what is the procedure? Clean the alternator ventilation, passage and air filter. So that is the first step. Obviously ventilation is important for the case of alternator, and if there is a dust deposited inside the ventilation, then there is an excess heat is going to develop inside the, you can say, the alternator. Yes, so we have to make sure that our ventilation should be clear first. Yes, thereafter air filter. Check the insulation resistance. So this quantity we have to check of stator as well as rotor. Yes, and can you tell me which device we are using to check the insulation resistance? Can you put in the chat box? I have told you the name, the device which we are using for the case of measurement of insulation resistance. So try to remember the things. What is the device which we have discussed? Yes, Megger, correct. Megger is a device which we are going to use for measurement of high resistance. Obviously, insulation or insulator is having a high resistance, and in terms of, you can say, mega ohm. Yes, so this value of resistance is available for the case of insulator. Yes, now we will go ahead. What is the next part? Next part is related to the air gap, and believe me, this air gap plays an important role. So whenever we are using a air gap between the stator and rotor is to be checked and maintained between 1.5 to 2 millimeter. Yes, so this is the standard, you can say, the air gap, you can say the distance available for satisfactory operation of alternator. Whenever the slip rings are to be checked for even wear down to be renewal if required. Slip rings सुद्धा आपल्याला चेक करावं लागतील. जर त्या खराब झाल्या असतील तर we have to renew or we have to replace. Yes, carbon brushes to be clean and checked for free movement. We have to check the carbon brushes, and the purpose of carbon brushes inside the alternator is to collect the current. Yes, and in the case of motor, the brushes purpose is to supply the current. So that difference you have to keep in mind. The brush contacting pressure to be checked by spring balance, and automatic voltage regulators to be checked and cleaned of oil and dust. So there is a device called as automatic voltage regulator, AVR. Yes, and is this device is associated with the alternator, and that we have to check also. And whenever if there is availability of oil or you can say the dust, then we have to make the clean. Yes. Now, we are interested for the alternator maintenance. So obviously there is a possibility of lubricant oil level of pedestal bearing. So we are using the bearings, and inside the bearing there is a availability of oil. So is to be maintained and renewed as per the planned maintenance. So obviously we have to check the manual of that particular alternator, and we have to follow the procedure to replace the lubrication oil, or you can say to replace the brushes in that way. The vacuum cleaner can be used to remove the dust accumulated in inner parts of alternator. Yes. So one can think how to remove the dust. So obviously we can use the vacuum cleaner to remove the dust. The terminal boxes cover the gasket to be checked for proper oil and water tightness. जे टर्मिनल बॉक्सेस असतात ना, तर तिथे तुमचं वॉटर लिकेज होता कामा नये. लेट्स से इफ यू आर युजिंग अ हायड्रो पॉवर प्लांट, or if the alternator uses the hydro, you can say the pressure. Yes, so there is a availability of water. So make sure that our alternator is free from water, or sometimes it is must free from the oil. All the connections in the terminal box to be tightened properly. Cable gland to be checked for integrity. आपल्याला जे केबलच्या ग्लँड्स असतात ना, जे टर्मिनल्स असतात, that we have to check. Forced ventilation around the alternator must be maintained all the time. Check the heater for proper operations. काही काही वेळेस अल्टरनेटरच्या जिथे जो प्लांट असेल किंवा इफ यू आर सेइंग द थर्मल पॉवर प्लांट, yes, so we need the heaters or we need the steam supply. Yes, so that heater or that steam arrangement we have to check. The foundation bolts of the alternator to be checked for tightness, and after the maintenance is performed, a no-load test should be carried out. And general conditions such as noise, temperature, voltage generated, etc. of the alternator should be observed and noted. So after doing all these maintenance activity, we have to carry the no-load test. Now, in your experiments, might be you have performed the no-load test for transformer, yes, might be for no-load test for alternator, or might be for no-load test for your induction motor. Yes. Now, after carrying this no-load test, one can say that if the device produces a satisfactory result, then the alternator, or you can say that electrical device, is okay. But if there is a problem of noise, temperature is going to rise, or you can say voltage generated is not enough, then we have to do again the reverse maintenance. Yes, so that is the role of maintenance engineer. Now we will go ahead. So this is the ratio part, and believe me, these ratios are definitely asked in your end semester exam or in semester exam. So there might be a question based on the type of maintenance, and the next question is related to this insulation ratios. The purpose of insulation is to prevent the flow of electric current between the points of different potential in an electrical system. If the failure of insulation, it is the most common cause problems in electrical equipment. Believe me, there is a, you can say, they have made one survey, and based on the survey, they have found that approximately 80% are the causes of insulation failure. We know that if the insulation fails, then these two conductors are, you can say, joined together, and there is a possibility of short circuit. Yes, so these 80% causes are happened due to the failure of insulation. So if we can try to minimize this insulation failure by checking the ratios related to insulation, then obviously we can maintain the healthy life for our electrical equipment. Yes. Now we will go ahead. What are the reasons of insulation failure? So there are n number of reasons. You can see over here. These reasons are based on the experience of the engineers. Now, some of the main reasons of insulation failure include the natural deterioration due to aging. तुम्हाला कळत असेल की डिटेरियोरेशनचा मिनिंग मी तुम्हाला सांगितला होता की लुझिंग इट्स प्रॉपर्टी ओव्हर द पिरियड ऑफ टाइम. एखादी गोष्ट तुम्ही जर म्हणत असाल की आयडियल आहे, तर आयडियल गोष्ट ही जगामध्ये एक्झिस्ट नसते. परफेक्टली ब्लॅक बॉडी, देर इज नो एक्झिस्टन्स ऑफ परफेक्टली ब्लॅक बॉडी. येस, यू कॅन से प्युअर कंडक्टर, प्युअर इन्सुलेटर, देर इज नो एक्झिस्टन्स ऑफ प्युअर थिंग्स इन द world. Yes, over the period of time it loses its property, so that is called as a natural deterioration by, you can say, the external effects. That can be the temperature effect, that can be the moisture effect, humidity effect, dust particle effect. So that can be the cause of natural deterioration. It is accelerated by excessive heat and moisture. So if the heat is continuously developed due to the blockage of ventilation, then one can say that there is a possibility of excessive heat is going to develop, and because of this excessive heat there can be a insulation failure is going to happen. Yes, तुम्हाला कळत असेल की जर एखादी गोष्ट जर जास्त गरम झाली आणि जर ती गोष्ट जर इन्सुलेटरच्या कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये आली, सो देर कॅन बी अ डॅमेज टू दॅट पर्टिक्युलर इन्सुलेटर. The third cause is obviously the dirt. Dirt also plays an important role to cause of insulation failure. The fourth is chemical deterioration. So if we are using the machine inside the chemical industries, yes, obviously pharma companies, or you can say the chemical industries, also need our electrical equipments to carry out their work. Yes, so we have the lot of demand in the future also, and these days also. Yes, so every industry needs electrical equipment, and believe me, the role of maintenance engineer is also there in every company. So whenever we are using a chemical industry, or whenever you are using a pharma company, yes, so because of that continuous flow of chemicals or continuous flow of pharma acids, so there can be a deterioration to the insulation. The mechanical damage can be a reason of insulation failure, or you can say vibrations, continuous vibrations. If there are observed for the electrical machine, then obviously it will loses its property, and that is called as a mechanical damage. Yes, sunlight. So direct sunlight, if the machine or the machine will get exposes with the direct sunlight or the ultraviolet, you can say the rays, then there can be a chances of insulation failure. Excessive voltage stresses. So obviously if the voltage is beyond the limit, so obviously we are interested to carry the voltage for single phase 230 volt, and for three phase we are interested for 440 volt. But by some means there can be a application which, you can say, that requires the voltage beyond these limits or beyond this capacity. So there can be a development of voltage stresses, and this insulation can be your fail. To prevent the problems with your electrical equipments due to the failure of insulation, there is a need to test the insulation, and that can be conducted regularly. So this is very important. Regularly, it means routinely. Routinely we have to carry the insulation test. Believe me, if you are carrying the routine test for the insulation, then you can minimize this 80%, you can say, the reasons of the insulation failure. Yes, so these are the main reasons of insulation failure. Now we will go ahead. Now what are the factors affecting the life of insulating material, or the insulation stressing factors? So the factors or the reasons which we have seen earlier, that factors, or you can say that causes, are mentioned over here, and we are interested for the effect of that factor on that particular insulating material. So let's say, what is the effect of temperature? So one can say the insulation resistance decreases as the temperature increases. So there is a, you can say, inverse relation between this. Yes, obviously if the temperature is 40 degree Celsius, one can say the insulator or the you can say the material behaves normally. But let's say if this temperature is beyond 100 degrees Celsius, then Obviously, because of 100 degrees Celsius, there is a possibility of deterioration in the, you can say, insulator, and this insulation resistance decreases. Now, what will happen if the insulation resistance decreases? We know that we have to maintain the insulation resistance very high. Yes, and all the insulators are having a high amount of insulation resistance. But if the temperature increases, then this insulator resistance decreases, and because of this insulation resistance decreasement, there is a, you can say, current is going to increase. Yes, so that is the reason why we have to maintain the temperature nearly to the normal value. Yes, this normal value is related to the application, obviously, and whenever we are interested for the maintaining the temperature of insulator, then we have to carry the some precautions that we have to take. So this is the important conclusion. Yes, and we know that whenever the current increases, so obviously there is a possibility of short circuit with the neighboring conductor. Yes. Now, in your fourth year, so you can say second semester, there is a one subject, high voltage engineering. Yes, and in that high voltage engineering, you are having one table. Yes, so that table is related to the, you can say, the class, and it is associated with the, you can say, the degree Celsius, and this table is also seen in the material science subject. मला आठवत असेल कदाचित की मटेरियल सायन्स सब्जेक्ट मध्ये आपण हा टेबल शिकलो होतो. येस, हियर वी आर युझिंग द क्लास ऑफ मटेरियल. सो if you have remembered this class and degree Celsius, so that is a good thing. And whenever we are interested for the insulating material, then we have to follow the particular class or particular temperature. Yes, तुम्हाला कळत असेल की जे आपले ओव्हरहेड कंडक्टर्स असतात, त्या ओव्हरहेड कंडक्टर्सला जर तुम्हाला इन्सुलेशन प्रोव्हाइड करायचं असेल, सो ऑब्व्हियसली आपलं टेम्परेचर जे असतं अवतीभोवतीचं ते अप्रॉक्सिमेटली 50 डिग्री पर्यंत जाऊ शकतं जास्तीत जास्त. येस, 50 डिग्रीच्या वर चान्सेस खूप कमी असतात. येस, सो वी हॅव टू मेक शुअर दॅट क्लास वी हॅव टू फॉलो. येस, so that is a you can say class E. Yes, Y. Yes, so I hope you have remembered these classes along with the temperature. Yes, now if you are interested for these classes and the temperature, so we have to check the material science subject as well as this high voltage engineering subject. Yes, so anyone has put in the chat box, so I have to see, just a minute. A class, C class, correct, and that class is associated with some temperature. तुम्हाला कदाचित आठवत असेल की आपण मटेरियल सायन्सच्या सब्जेक्ट मध्ये तो क्लास आणि इन्सुलेटर घेतला होता. येस, सो जस्ट अ मिनिट, लेट मी सर्च and let me show the insulator classes and the temperature associated with this, so that there will be the revision for you. Yes, so I found this. Okay. Yes, so these are the insulation classes and this is the maximum permissible temperature associated. Yes, so तिथे मला लिहायला थोडंसं जड जातं because I am using my laptop, you can say the touchpad. These are the classes associated with Y, A, E, B, F, H, C, and the temperature starts from 90, 105, 120, 130, 155, 180, and greater than 180. Yes, so I have told you the trick to add the 15 in between the two classes. So there is addition of 10 and there is addition of 25 between these two. Yes, so in that way you can remember. Obviously you have to remember this side also. Yes, so don't need to remember this side, only you have to remember the starting of 90. Yes, so these are the different classes, and can you tell me where there is a possibility of temperature 180 degrees Celsius? 180 degrees Celsius पर्यंत टेम्परेचर कुठे जात असेल का? Obviously, industries मध्ये there is a possibility of temperature which goes beyond 100 degree Celsius. म्हणजे फर्नेस असतात ना, हीट फर्नेस. There is a subject in your third year engineering, second semester, utilization of electrical engineering. Yes, कदाचित डिप्लोमाच्या मुलांचा हा सब्जेक्ट झाला असेल, utilization of electrical engineering. In that you are going to study the different types of heating furnaces, and there is a obviously need for the heating furnaces available. Whenever we are using these heating furnaces, then one can say there is a possibility of this temperature which goes beyond, and we have to use the particular class. Obviously this class is associated with particular material. So here is a picture. Yes, so this is the material or the combination of the material. Yes, so one can say for the 155 we can use the mica, glass fiber, asbestos, etc. Yes, for the 180 degree Celsius we have to use the silicon, elastomer, mica, glass fiber, asbestos. Yes, and for the 200 one can use the mica, glass fiber, asbestos. Yes, so these are the materials which shows the or which can bear the particular temperature, and the class is associated this. Yes, and this is the glass, you can say the insulator available. Yes, कदाचित तुमच्या शेतामध्ये किंवा तुमच्या घराजवळून जी ट्रान्समिशन लाईन गेली असेल, now we are using a glass insulator because it is a transparent, and the life of this glass insulator is a very high rather than your porcelain insulator. Yes, so this is the glass insulator picture, and this is the picture of your porcelain insulator. Yes, okay. So our point of interest is what? Our point of interest is whenever the temperature increases, obviously there is an effect of insulation resistance, and what is the effect? The insulation resistance decreases. So there can be a question in your state government exam. So what is the effect of increasing the temperature? So obviously the answer is the insulation resistance decreases. What is the second factor? The moisture is the second factor, and it causes the insulation failure. So obviously if the moisture increases, the you can say the insulation material deteriorates and it will make into the state of failure. Third is the mechanical stresses due to the electromechanical forces at running conditions. Believe me, the vibrations which producing whenever there is a running condition are tremendous. सो जर तुम्ही मशीनच्या लॅबमध्ये जर एखादी मशीन जर तुम्ही चालू केली आणि तुम्हाला जर व्हायब्रेशन्स हे जाणवायला लागले, सो वन कॅन से दिस इज नॉट अ नॉर्मल कंडिशन, समथिंग देर इज रॉंग. Yes, and because of that wrong, you can say the connection, or you can say the misalignment of rotor, there is a possibility of vibration. The thermal stresses, you can say heat due to the loss. Obviously loss is nothing but it is a wastage of energy. So we have to maintain the heat produced, obviously the temperature produced. The electrical stresses due to the lightning. So whenever the lightning occurs on particular electrical equipment, then one can say because of this lightning there is a sudden voltage is going to rise, and because of this voltage rise your insulator will get damage. Yes, there is a deposition of dust effect, dirt effect, and oil effect. Yes, and impurities, or you can say foreign particles. You can say the rainy season, or you can say in the whenever there is a snow is going to happen, then this snow or the rainy you can say the raindrops are affects the insulating material. Yes, so these are the factors which affects the insulating material. Now we will go ahead. We are interested for the insulation deterioration. So this is the first point from your unit number 3A. We are interested for the types of maintenance, and after the types of maintenance we are interested for the equipment maintenance, and after that we are interested for insulation deterioration. So deterioration I already explained you, it nothing but loses its property, and whenever there is a heat is produced, so one can say heat is the prime cause which leads to electrical insulation deterioration. Some possible causes of heat generation in the electrical insulation are as follows. So how the heat is going to produce inside the electrical equipment? Heat is generated in the electrically stressed insulation due to dielectric loss. Now this is the important word, dielectric. Yes. So obviously it is related to the insulator. So whenever the dielectric is get loss, or one can say there is a failure of dielectric, so there can be a heat is going to generate, and the conduction currents. So the current flowing through that particular wire develops the heat. The second cause is heat is imparted to the insulation by neighboring current carrying parts. तुम्हाला कळत असेल की जर तुम्ही तुमचा मोबाईलला जर तुम्ही खूप वेळ चार्जिंग केलं किंवा ज्यांचे मोबाईल जुने झाले असतील तर ते काय होतात, हीट होतात. येस, व्हाय दे आर गोइंग टू हीट? बिकॉज द इलेक्ट्रिकल और यू कॅन से द इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स कंपोनंट इनसाइड द मोबाईल आर यू कॅन से ते एका लिमिट पर्यंत काम करतात, आणि जर त्यांची लिमिट संपली सो दे स्टार्ट्स मिसबिहेविंग, मग तिथे हीट डिपोजिशन किंवा हीट जनरेशन हे जास्त होत राहील. येस. नाउ इफ वी लुक ॲट द डिसिपेशन ऑफ हीट, नाउ ऑब्वियसली देर आर द कॉजेस ऑफ हीट and we have to dissipate this heat accurately from the insulation. Then heat is lost in insulator by three methods: conduction, convection and radiation. So this is the universal law. Yes, so heat can be dissipated by three ways. First is either by conduction mode, either by convection mode and either by radiation mode. The special cooling facility is provided whenever necessary. So we have to provide a cooling facility to dissipate this heat. As the resistivity of some dielectric materials decreases with increase in temperature, whereas the loss angle also increases. So this is the one important, you can say, the relation between resistivity of dielectric material along with the temperature, you can say, increase. The thermal equilibrium implies a stable temperature at which the heat lost is equal to heat gained. So this is a law in the mechanical engineering, is related to the thermal equilibrium. Thermal equilibrium means we have to equalize the temperature. And what does it mean? At stable temperature, the heat lost is equal to heat gained. जेवढी heat आपल्याला you can say dissipate करायची आहे, तेवढी हीट तुम्ही डिसिपेट करू शकतात जेवढी हीट तिथे जनरेट झाली असेल तेवढी, ऑब्वियसली. अँड दॅट वन कॅन से द कंडिशन कॉल्ड एज थर्मल इक्विलिब्रियम. इफ द थर्मल स्टॅबिलिटी इज लॉस्ट, से ड्यू टू इनएडिक्वेट कूलिंग, द टेम्परेचर राइजेस इनडेफिनाइटली लीडिंग टू इन्सुलेशन फेल्युअर. जर समजा असं घडलं नाही, जर जेवढी हीट झाली असेल तिथे डेव्हलप, तेवढी हीट ही डिसिपेट झाली नाही, तर काय होईल? Your thermal stability is lost. Yes, and the temperature rises indefinitely, leading to insulation failure. So this is a very important, you can say, the law for the insulation material, or you can say for the case of thermal equilibrium. Every 10 degrees Celsius rise in temperature above the limit reduces the insulation resistance that we have seen earlier, as well as its expected life by around half. बघा, जर टेम्परेचर हे कंटिन्युअसली वाढत राहिलं तर काय होईल? लाईफ सुद्धा कमी होईल आणि ती हाफ पण होऊ शकते. येस, जसं एक्झाम्पल घ्या ग्लोबल वॉर्मिंग. इफ द ग्लोबल वॉर्मिंग इज गोइंग टू इन्क्रीज डे बाय डे, then the life of Mother Earth is going to decrease. Same way here also, if the temperature goes above the limit, then it reduces the insulation resistance and it will decrease the life also. At prolonged high temperature, the organic insulating materials start to dry and become brittle, which leads to build up of cracks. तुम्हाला कळत असेल की समजा इफ आय एम युझिंग इन्सुलेटिंग मटेरियल, आणि जेव्हा तुम्ही याला इन्सुलेटिंग मटेरियलचा एक्सपेरिमेंट घेतला होता मटेरियल सायन्स मध्ये, सो तुम्हाला मी एक सांगितलं होतं की तुम्हाला लास्ट इयरला एक एक्सपेरिमेंट आहे टू सी द ट्रिंग अँड ट्रॅकिंग ऑफ द इलेक्ट्रिकल, यू कॅन से, इन्सुलेटर. ह्या इन्सुलेटरवर तुम्हाला असे इफेक्ट्स बघायला मिळतात. कोणते? ट्रॅक तुम्हाला बघायला मिळतात, ट्रॅक्स. येस, दिस इज नथिंग बट द फ्लो ऑफ करंट इनसाइड द insulator. Yes, The following are the main causes of electrical insulation deterioration. Yes. So what are the causes? Formation of tracks. आपण मगाशीच बघितलं की ट्रॅक्स हे कशामुळे फॉर्म होतात. कंटिन्युअसली जर तिथे टेम्परेचर हे इन्क्रीज झालं किंवा व्होल्टेज लेवल ही वाढत राहिली सो तिथे काय तयार होतील, ट्रॅक्स तयार होतील इन्सुलेटिंग मटेरियलवर. येस. व्हॉट इज द इन्सुलेटिंग, व्हॉट इज अ ट्रॅक इन इलेक्ट्रिकल इन्सुलेशन? Tracking is the formation of permanent conducting path along the surface of insulator. हा जो परमनंट पाथ तयार होतो आणि तो काय करतो, कॅरी करतो करंटला. Following are the causes of track formation in the electrical insulation. Degradation of surface due to sparking. स्पार्किंग जर होत असेल तर स्पार्किंग हे कंटिन्युअसली जर राहिलं तिथे तर तुमचं इन्सुलेटिंग मटेरियल हे याच्यामध्ये काय फॉर्म होतात, ट्रॅक्स फॉर्म होतात. म्हणजे तुम्हाला कळत असेल की वी आर युझिंग द इन्सुलेटिंग मटेरियल इनसाइड अवर ट्रान्सफॉर्मर, our you can say the rotating equipments. Yes. And if there is a sparking inside the transformer or you can say the electrical equipment, so there is a possibility of the track formation. The second cause is the presence of conduction film along the surface of insulator due to moisture, dirt, salt layer, etc. सो हे 3 गोष्टी आहेत की त्या सुद्धा ह्या ट्रॅक फॉर्मेशनला मदत करतात. मेकॅनिझम ऑफ स्पार्किंग अलॉंग द सरफेस अरायझिंग ड्यू टू ब्रेकिंग ऑफ लिकेज करंट्स अलॉंग द सरफेस. सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट कॉज ऑफ insulation deterioration, formation of track. The second cause is presence of oxygen and humidity. Yes. So if there is a possibility of oxygen is going to present continuously or it is in the association with water, then obviously it produces the humidity. Yes. And it will degrade the insulation. Some organic and inorganic insulation material oxidize in presence of oxygen, ozone, particularly when exposed to light. Polyethylene oxidizes when exposed to bright sunlight. Rubber oxidizes and cracks when exposed to light. तुम्हाला कळत असेल की तुमच्या व्हेकल्स जी तुम्ही वापरतात आणि जर तुम्ही ती कंटिन्युअसली उन्हामध्ये ठेवली किंवा सनलाइट मध्ये ठेवली सो त्याचा कलर तर जातोच तुमच्या त्या व्हेकलच्या, तुमच्या त्या बॉडीचा, पण जे टायर्स असतात ना त्या टायर्सवर सुद्धा क्रॅक्स येतात. येस. बिकॉज रबर ऑक्सिडायझेस अँड क्रॅक्स when exposed to light. Some materials absorb the moisture, lose electrical and mechanical strength under humid conditions due to hydrolysis. Polyethylene, cellulose esters, other polyesters are typical examples of such materials. Thus, oxygen and moisture lead to insulation deterioration. तुम्हाला कळत असेल की आता ऑक्सिजन आणि सनलाइट हे जर यू कॅन से एकत्र आलेत किंवा तिथे फॉर्मेशन झालं मॉइश्चरचं किंवा ह्युमिडिटीचं, सो दॅट कॅन डिटोरिएट द इन्सुलेटिंग मटेरियल. येस. द थर्ड कॉज और द थर्ड इफेक्ट इज द एक्सेस इलेक्ट्रिकल स्ट्रेस. द इलेक्ट्रिकल स्ट्रेस इज द वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टंट रीजन फॉर इन्सुलेशन डिटोरिएशन. द डिस्चार्ज ऑकर्स on the surface or within the insulator whenever the stresses exceeds the breakdown value. आणि तुम्हाला कळत असेल की आपण ब्रेकडाऊन व्हॅल्यू ही आयडेंटिफाय केली होती, ब्रेकडाऊन व्होल्टेज हे आपण आयडेंटिफाय केलं होतं इन केस ऑफ युअर इन्सुलेटर. येस. इफ द ब्रेकडाऊन व्होल्टेज इज ऑब्झर्व्ड then one can say that material is get punctured. Yes. The surface discharge is caused by higher electrical stresses than permitted value. So this is the third cause. The fourth cause is chemical deterioration. The stability of organic insulation material increases with time and temperature. तुम्हाला कळत असेल की आता मटेरियल सायन्स हा जो सब्जेक्ट होता तुमचा सेकंड इयर फर्स्ट सेमिस्टरला, त्याचं महत्व एवढं का आहे किंवा तो फर्स्ट सेमिस्टरलाच का आहे? बिकॉज we are following the materials in the electrical industry and in the electrical appliances. So the paper losses its mechanical strength within a few days at temperature of the order of 150 degrees Celsius, even if it is protected from moisture and air. Oxygen and moisture cause a rapid deterioration at such temperatures. The moisture causes the deterioration of transformer oil and other insulation material, whether solid, liquid, gaseous. The moisture creates a special problem in enclosed equipment. जर इक्विपमेंट हे एनक्लोज्ड असेल, पूर्ण पॅक असेल, सो मॉइश्चर हा खूप मोठा प्रॉब्लेम क्रिएट करू शकतो. The moisture gets condensed on insulator surface and causes the flashover. Flashover is nothing but it is like a sparking. तुम्हाला कळत असेल की आकाशातून जेव्हा वीज चमकते तेव्हा फ्लॅश ओव्हर ऑफ लाइटनिंग असं म्हणतात. येस, सेम वे इफ युअर इक्विपमेंट इज एनक्लोज्ड, सो दिस मॉइश्चर इज यू कॅन से खूप क्रिएट होईल त्यामध्ये, आणि जर ते मॉइश्चर क्रिएट झालं सो देर कॅन बी अ कॉजेस ऑफ फ्लॅश ओव्हर. At temperature of 400 to 500 degrees Celsius, mica products slowly deteriorates both electrically and mechanically. एवढं टेम्परेचर जर डेव्हलप झालं 400 to 500 डिग्री सेल्सिअस, सो ऑब्विसली मायका काय बाकीचे सुद्धा इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट्स किंवा इन्सुलेटिंग मटेरियल्स हे डिटोरेट होतील. येस, अँड दिस इज द लास्ट यू कॅन से द 2 causes of the insulation deterioration. We will finish this part and we will stop here. The part is mechanical stress. Some components are weak in tensile load, some are weak on impact load, and therefore components may fail due to excessive mechanical stresses. And this is the reason, vibration. तुम्हाला कळत असेल की व्हायब्रेशन जर जास्त तयार झाले सिस्टीम मध्ये, म्हणजे इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट असेल किंवा मेकॅनिकल इक्विपमेंट असेल, so one can say there is a development of mechanical stresses and that can damage the equipment. But you cannot avoid the vibrations at many places in the industries, and this is of the main reason of insulation failure. But we can make sure that our foundation of electrical equipment should be strong such that it can bear these vibrations. Yes, तुम्हाला फाउंडेशन सुद्धा हे व्यवस्थित करावं लागतं इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये, so that it can withstand this vibration. And the last point is incompatibility of dielectric material. जर आपण materials हे wrong choose केलं, so one can say obviously there can be a chances of the insulation failure. जर आपण तो चार्टच बघितला नाही, जर आपण ते टेबलच बघितले नाही, किंवा जर आपण ते टेम्परेचरच बघितलं नाही, so one can say there is a possibility of choosing of wrong material for our electrical equipment. It means not suitable to be used together. Some dielectric materials are not suitable in particular assemblies because of their incompatibility with the surrounding material. For the example, some synthetic materials deteriorates rapidly when placed with adjacent current carrying copper at temperature of about 80 degrees Celsius. Thus, compatibility is one thing which must be taken care while selecting the material for insulation. आपल्याला मटेरियल पण चांगलं सिलेक्ट करायचं आहे इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट फॉर्मेशन करताना, पण ते इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट फॉर्मेशन करताना त्याचं यू कॅन से द कॉम्बिनेशन शुड बी ऑल्सो परफेक्ट. येस, मग जर तुम्ही इथे एक्झाम्पल दिलं त्यांनी, जर तुम्ही सिंथेटिक मटेरियल वापरलं तर ते काय होतं, डिटेरिएट होतं. केव्हा, जर तुम्ही ऍडजस्टंट करंट कॅरिंग कॉपर कंडक्टर्सच्या जवळ ठेवलं तर ऍट 80 डिग्री सेल्सिअस. येस, सो वी हॅव टू सिलेक्ट अ परफेक्ट कॉम्बिनेशन फॉर दिस insulation deterioration. I hope you understood the today's topic. So if you have any doubt related to this topic, you can ask me. Yes, so just write in the chat box if you have understood yes, or if you are not understood, then you can write no and you can ask me any doubt. Okay, so I have taken your attendance also, so you can leave the class. Thank you for attending.